Okay, so we're first going to go over properties of addition and multiplication. Commutative property means that it's about the order. So the order changes on one side from the other. Nothing else changes. And you can remember that by this. Here is Jacob and here is Jaylin. And it doesn't matter whether you're speaking first or Jaylin is speaking first. The order doesn't matter. We have a speaker and we have a listener. So this word is like the word communication. The order doesn't matter in communication. Jaylin can go first or you can go first. It doesn't matter. You're still communicating. Associative means that the parentheses change. So think about it. Associative parentheses. So for this one, everything stays the same. The order is 5. On this side, the order is 5. The order is 8 and 8 and 14 and 14. But the parentheses changed from being around the 8 and the 14 to changing to the 5 and the 8. So for this one, it's the parentheses that change. And then the identity for addition means anything plus 0 equals itself. So your identity is Jacob. You are yourself. So for this, we can remember that what you started off with is what it equals. 13 is its own identity. So that's just a way to remember it. And then same with multiplication. It doesn't matter who's communicating first. The order can change and the answer is still the same. For this one, it's the parentheses changed. So it is 11 times parentheses 3 times 6. And then for this one, it's the parentheses are around the 11 and 3 instead of the 3 and 6.
And
yes, honey?
I just send you the pages.
Okay. And then for this one, the identity is anything times 1 equals itself. So the identity of 4 equals 4 if you multiply it by 1. So those are the properties of addition and multiplication. So for this one, we see 9 times parentheses 30 plus 7. So we can see that this has to do with parentheses. The only two that have to do with parentheses is associative or distributive. So let's go over distributive as well. So distributive means that anything can be, this 5 is going to be put into times 7, and it's also going to be put inside whatever else is in the parentheses. So this 5 goes to 5 times 7, which they rewrote here, and this 5 goes to here, and it becomes 5 times 9. Do those make sense to you, Jacob?
Yeah.
Okay, so the two that have to do with parentheses are distributive and associative. All right, you also did powers of 10 and exponents. So let's talk about what an exponent is. So an exponent is a number that has 2 parts to it. It has a base.
And
Yes, honey.
oh, we're not doing any more of the power of 10s.
Yeah, but I want to make sure you understand it. So base, and then this part, this little number right here is called an exponent, and that tells us how many times we multiply the base by itself. So a lot of kids think that this means 5 times 2, but it does not. Can you answer what it does mean, Jacob? What does 5 to the second power mean?
500?
No, it means 5 times itself. So the base tells you what you're multiplying, and the exponent tells you how many times you're multiplying the base by itself. So if you had 5 to the second power, it's not 5 times 2, it's 5 times 5. And if you had 5 to the third power, it means 5 times 5 times 5. So some people think it's 15, but it's not. It's 5 times 5 is 25, and then you have to multiply that by 5 more. So it's 125. When you are dealing with 10, then we have a little shortcut that we can use. 10 to the third power is 10 times 10 times 10. And here's our shortcut. However many exponent you have is the number of zeros that you're going to put in your answer. So that's a little shortcut. It only works for tens though. So if I had 10 times 2, it would be 2 zeros, and that is it. If you had 10 to the fourth power, it would be a 1 with 4 zeros. So that's a cool little shortcut that we have that we can only use for tens. So what they're talking about in these blocks, are you guys using the blocks or no?
We kind of use them maybe last month. I think we used the blocks.
Okay. So for this one, we know our shortcut is we put a 1 with 4 zeros. Sometimes they're going to say we're going to do 2 times this. So what this means is 2 times a 1 with 3 zeros. And then we can do the math. What is 2 times 1,000?
2,000.
Yeah. For this one, what is 6 times a 1 with 4 zeros?
6,000.
60. Because this is 10,000 times 6. So this one would be 60,000. Okay. Now, the only exception to this is times when the exponent is a 0, your number becomes 1. So what you're going to do is do 9 times 1 instead of 9 times 10 times 0. So let's complete this whole thing. 9 times 10 to the first power is what, Jacob?
Uh, 900.
So what does 10 to the first power mean? It just means 10 one time. And then we go 9 times 10 is what?
90.
Yes. How about what is 9 times 10 to the second power? Well, we know our shortcut. It's a 1 with 2 zeros. So what is 9 times a 1 with 2 zeros?
900.
Yes. Okay. So now we're going to go over your homework that you just sent to me. And it is order of operations. So that's what you're working on now, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So order of operations means that we always solve parentheses first, then exponents, then multiplication and division, then addition and subtraction. So on your paper that for your homework, I want you to write this down. PEMDAS, going down like this. And then we're going to use this as our guide to complete your homework. So if we have 24 times 5 minus 41, like the example that they gave us, we know we have to multiply first because multiplication comes before subtraction. So we're going to do 24 times 5 which is 120 minus 41. And on the example, they tell us that is 79. So now we're going to go to number 2. 32 minus 20 divided by 4. On my chart here, what comes first, parentheses or division?
Division?
So look at my chart right here. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction.
Division?
So parentheses, exponents, multiplication, or division.
D?
No, not D, parentheses. Right? Doesn't number 2 have parentheses around it?
Yes.
So we always do P first, which is parentheses.
And
Yes.
our teacher wants us to do it a different way.
This is the only way to do it, honey. There's
No,
only...
she wants do you know, like 24 times 5 minus 41, yeah?
Yeah, we just did that one. So for that one, we had multiplication and subtraction. So you look on this chart, what comes first is multiplication, then subtraction. But this one, parentheses always wins the first step. Do you see right here? So if you have parentheses, we don't care if this is subtraction and this is division. Parentheses always wins. So I know you think that we would do the division first, but it's not true because this problem has parentheses around it. I promise your teacher does not want you to do division first. If there were no parentheses, then yes. But because there are parentheses, parentheses always wins. So it's 32 minus 20 first because it has parentheses around it. So what is 32 minus 20?
12.
12. And then we do our division, divided by 4 on the next line. So what is 12 divided by 4?
Two. 3.
Yep. Now for our next one, we have a division and we have an addition, but because this is in parentheses, the parentheses always wins. So we just rewrite the problem and we solve inside the parentheses. What is 2 plus 6?
And?
What is 2 plus 6, Mr. Jacob?
And?
Yes.
For number 1, I think the answer is 79.
It is.
Oh.
They already did 79. Yeah.
Because for number 1 on the paper, do you see how you, for your second example, like 30, or the parentheses, 32 minus 20 divided by 4, yeah?
Yeah.
She wants us to kind of do it like that, like a pizza, like a pizza, sorry. Like she wants us to line it up like a pizza.
I think you're misunderstanding what she's saying though, honey. So it is a pizza, right? Do you see this?
Yeah.
That's a pizza.
I know. That's how she wants us to do it.
Yeah, I just didn't finish this one because I put the phone there and went like this to show you that they already did that problem for us. So now we're on to number 3. And it's 16 divided by 2 plus 6. So I promise you, we have to do the parentheses first. Because even though it's addition, it has parentheses around it. and parentheses always win. So what is 2 plus 6, darling?
2 plus 6 is 8.
Yeah, so we do 16 divided by 8, and then on the next line we solve the division part. 16 divided by 8 is what?
2.
Yep, there's your pizza. Okay, for our next one, we have to solve within the parentheses first. So I do 15 times what is 8 minus 3?
Wait, what did you say again?
What is in the parentheses 8 minus 3 equal?
5.
So our second line is going to be 15 times 5. And then on the side, we're going to do what 15 times 5 is. And you tell me what you think 15 times 5 is.
100.
Did you solve it like I just did right here? So we're not going to guess what 15 times 5 is. We're going to do this division like this. 5 times 5 is 25. You put the 2 here, you put the 5 here, like that. So set it up like I set mine up and see what you get when you work it out instead of doing it in your head. What did you get, honey? What is 15 times 5? Are you with me, Jacob? What did you get for 15 times 5?
35.
Are you doing it in your head or are you doing it on the side like I asked you to?
I'm doing it on the side.
Okay, so what did you do for your first step? 15 times 5.
I did 5 times 5.
Yeah.
And that equals 25. So I put the 5 in the bottom. Then I put the 2 over the 1. Then I did 2 plus 1.
So we do 5 times 1 equals 5 plus 2 equals 75. We always do 5 times 1 first and then add whatever's up here.
Okay.
Okay, so the answer is 75. Now for our next one, 4 times 8 minus 7. We're going to look on my chart here. What came first, multiplication or subtraction?
Multiplication.
Good. And what is 4 times 8?
$40.
32 minus 7. And then what is 32 minus 7?
Uh, 25.
Okay. Now our next one is 27 plus 5 times 6. What do I do first? Addition or multiplication?
Addition.
Look on my chart. did you write this down like this?
Mm-hmm.
So look on your chart and tell me which one comes first when you're reading down. Addition or multiplication?
Multiplication.
Yeah, so we're going to do 27 plus what is 5 times 6?
57.
30. So yeah, but it's 5 times 6 is 30.
Oh.
And then on the next step, you do 27 plus 30 equals 57.
Oh.
All right. 3 divided by 3 times 4 plus 6. What would I do first? So division and multiplication are equal. When you have multiplication and division, one does not come before the other. So we have a division and we have a multiplication. We just move left to right. So we would solve this first. 3 divided by 3 is what?
3 divided by 3 is 1.
So then I rewrite the 1 and the rest of the problem. And then what comes first, multiplication or addition?
Multiplication.
So then I do 1 times 4 is 4 plus 6. And now what is 4 plus 6?
Wait, 1 times 4 equals 4. And then plus 6 equals 10.
All right, next one. What comes first? Would I add or multiply? Yep, so I do 14 plus what is 4 times 4?
14 plus 4 equals 18.
No, we do multiplication first because multiplication wins over addition and subtraction. You have to do it in order of these letters. So does multiplication come first or does addition?
Mine is 9.
So we do 14 plus 4 times 4 is 16 minus 9. Does that make sense or does that not make sense to you?
It makes sense.
Okay. So now my next step is we have addition and subtraction. So I just go left to right. 14 plus 16 is what?
30.
And then minus 9.
21.
All right. So on the third line, we write 30 minus 9. And then on the last line, we write 21.
Okay.
All right. Now, that's one type of problem. The other type of problem is they want you to put parentheses around. You see how it says 3 times 4 minus 1 plus 2. The value is 11. What they're asking you to do is to try putting parentheses around different parts of the problem to see how would we make this problem equal 11. So I'm going to do parentheses around this. That tells me I'm doing that first. And let's see if that turns out to be the answer 11. So 3 times 4 is 12 minus 1 plus 2. What is 12 minus 1?
12 minus 1 equals 11.
Plus 2 equals 13. So could that be the way we would put the parentheses around it? No, because we need the value of 11. So now we take the parentheses off. So we tried it this way. And we know that does not work. So we're going to cross that out. Our goal is to get a value of 11. So now let's try a different parentheses. So I'm going to try this one. So 3 times, what is 4 minus 1? 3 plus 2. Remember, we do parentheses first. And then 3 times 3 is what? 9 plus 2. And then 9 plus 2 is 11. So this would be the way we would get this problem to become an 11. Does that make a little bit of sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. For the next one, we have 2 times 6 divided by 2 plus 1. And our goal is to get a value of 4. So I'm going to try this first. 12 divided by 2 plus 1 is 7. So that is not correct. So now I'm going to try doing it around this set of numbers. And I would get 2 times 3 plus 1, which is 7. So that is not it. So now I'm going to try the last set of numbers, which is 2 plus 1. So 2 times 6 divided by, I always solve within my parentheses first. Is that 3? Yes. And then I solve 12 times 6 is, or 2 times 6 is 12 divided by 3. Would that give me a value of 4? Yes. So this one was not correct. This one was not correct. The parentheses, because we always solve that first, has to be around the 2 and the 1. Does it a little bit make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Next one is our value has to be 10. So let's try putting our parentheses around the first number, which is 8 times 2 minus 6. Because I always solve my parentheses first, and then now I do multiplication first. 8 times 2 is 16 minus 6. What is 16 minus 6? It is 10. So that is where our parentheses go. Okay, we have some word problems now. So Randy has several pitchers to hold lemonade for the school bake sale. 2 pitchers can hold 64 ounces each. So I'm going to write that bit of information down. 2 hold 64 ounces each. And 4 pitchers can hold 48 ounces each. How many total ounces can Sandy's pitchers hold? So we can do 2. So the only thing I'm confused about is the wording on this. 2 pitchers can hold 64 ounces each. So it looks like each of these can hold 64. That's the way I'm reading it. So 2 times 64 plus 4 times 48. And then because I have parentheses, I'm going to solve these first. So I'm going to say, what is 64 times 2? 128 plus 4 times 48. Now my second step is to solve these parentheses. 48 times 4 is 192. And now I add these together. So the pitchers hold 320 ounces. So I put a OZ after the problem. Okay. The next problem is, at the bake sale, Jonah sold 4 cakes for $8 each. And he sold 36 muffins for $2 each. What is the amount that he received? So we first have to come up with our equation. What do you think our equation would be for this problem, Jacob?
Four divided by 8
Times 8.
or times 8 minus 36 plus 2.
So we're adding because we want to find the total. So the first problem is 4 times 8, and we're going to put a parentheses around it. And then we're going to add the second set of information, which is 36 times 2. And we need the parentheses around both of them because this is going to give us one set of information right here. And then we're going to add the second set of information, which is this right here. So we have to have parentheses around it. How much he made on the 4 cakes and how much he made on the muffins. So what is 4 times 8? It is 32 plus, what is 36 times 2? 72. So the problem becomes 32 plus 72. And then we add 32 plus 72 together and we get 104. And then we label our answers always. And they're asking us how much money. So we put a $sign at the end. Does that make sense, Jacob?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the next page. We have 4 times parentheses 4 minus 2 plus 6. And they're asking, what is the value of this? So what would I do first, Jacob?
You'll set up your problem.
And then what do I do first?
Find out which one goes for first, multiplication or subtraction.
But there's also another thing.
Or adding.
These things. Parentheses, whenever there's a parentheses, they always go first. So what goes first in my problem?
The parentheses.
Yep. So go ahead and solve this one.
So 4 times 2 equals 2. 4 minus 2 equals 2.
Yep.
And then you do 4 times 4 equals 12.
Where did you get the 4 times 4?
Sorry. Then is it 2 plus, or is it 4 times 2?
So we look here, what comes first, multiplication or addition?
Multiplication.
So we do 4 times 2 is 8 plus 6, and then we get 14.
Okay.
All right. The next problem is Lanny ordered 12 books for his book club members, and they cost $19 each. And he pays $15 shipping. So they want us to come up with an equation and then solve how much did he pay in total. So I know that if I bought 12 books and they cost $19 each, that would be multiplication, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to add a shipping charge because he's only paying one shipping charge and it goes to the total. So you can do this, or you can just leave the parentheses off for this one because multiplication always comes first. So if you were to do that, that's totally fine. And then you're going to figure out what 12 times 19 is.
And
Yes.
can I use the bathroom fast?
Yeah, very quickly, please. Okay, so 12 times 19, you're going to do the math for that. So this is 228 plus 15. So it's $243. Okay. The next one is a small company packs 12 jars of jelly into each of 110 boxes to bring to the farmer. How many jars of jelly does the company pack? So you're going to figure out, is that a multiplication or a division? And then you're going to do the problem, and then you're going to figure out if your answer makes sense. So if you come up with something that does not make sense, then you're going to know that you did the wrong, either you multiplied or you divided. So go ahead and try that one, Jacob.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go on to number 4. You can mute me if it bothers you to hear my voice while I'm doing this one. So June has 42 sport books, 85 mystery books, and 69 nature books. She arranges her books equally on 7 shelves. How many books are on each shelf? So I know I have to do 42 plus 85 plus 69 and get that total and divide it by 7. But I also know that if I'm adding and dividing in one problem, I would have to divide first, and I don't want to do that. I want to get the total first. So I know I have to put a parentheses around it, and then the parentheses win doing that first, and then you would get that total, and then you would divide it by 7, and then you would put the answer here. For number 5, last year a widget factory produced 1,012,000. So if you can't do all of this together, you can do 1,012,060 and then write that number in. So it would be 1,012,060. They want to write this number in standard form. So that's standard form right there. All right. A company has 3 divisions. And last year, each division earned, so there's 3 divisions, and each of them earned $5 times 10 to the 5th power. What was the total profit? So we're first going to set up our problem. It's going to be 3 times 5 to the 10th power. And we want to make sure that this gets done together. So we're just going to put a parentheses around it. And then I'm going to do the parentheses first. 5 times a 1 with 5 zeros, because this tells me how many zeros I'm doing. And then we would do, what is 5 times 100,000, Jacob?
5 times 100,000 is 500,000.
And then I have to multiply that times 3. So what is 500,000 times 3?
1,500,000? Wait, 500, yeah, 15.
So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a 15. So what is that number?
Wait, what?
What is this number called?
Million?
So 1,500,000, and then we have to put a dollar sign because we know we're dealing with dollars.